It was a rainy night when Emily Carter made her final phone call. Her trembling voice whispered, "They know where I am." That was the last anyone ever heard from her. Days later, her body was found, lifeless, expression frozen in terror. Detective Marcus Hale knew this wasn't random. Emily's death matched a chilling pattern. Unexplained deaths, all marked by a strange insignia burned into personal items, a serpent swallowing its tail. But the deeper Marcus dug, the more invisible the threat became. Marcus combed through cold cases. Dozens of deaths, different states, different circumstances, same symbol. Journalists, whistleblowers, corporate executives, activists, all silenced. What linked them? The deeper Marcus looked, the more people warned him. Let it go. An anonymous tipster reached out. Code name, Echo. Echo's message was chilling. There's an organization pulling the strings, called the Ophiuchus Order. They are everywhere, Echo warned. They watch, they wait, and they kill. Against all odds, Marcus found a survivor, Julia Lynn, a former member who faked her own death. Her story was a labyrinth of fear. "We were trained to erase people," she confessed. "And when you leave, you become a target." Julia's insider knowledge cracked open the case, but it came at a price. A car bomb exploded outside Marcus's home. His wife barely survived. Marcus knew. They were now in the crosshairs. Julia led Marcus to hidden caches, safe houses, documents, encrypted files. Every revelation pointed to something bigger. A network buried deep in corporate, political, and military systems. And every name on the list led to another corpse. Marcus tried to contact victims' families, but one by one, they vanished. Houses burned down. Cars ran off cliffs. It was as if the world was being cleaned of every trace of the Ophiuchus Order's crimes. Echo revealed himself, a former intelligence operative named David Kane. He was tired of running. But in his final message to Marcus, David said only 6 words: "Trust no one, not even yourself." Hours later, his body was pulled from the river. Julia began detailing the Order's inner workings. Recruitment, indoctrination, elimination. "They don't kill for money," she whispered. "They kill for control, for silence, for balance." But she left one question unanswered. Who was at the top? An encrypted hard drive recovered from David Kane's apartment revealed contracts, names, dates, targets. But the last folder was empty. Julia went pale. "That's the purge list," she said. "It's who they're killing next." Word of Marcus's investigation leaked to the press. Suddenly, the city was on edge. Paranoia spread. But the Order thrived in chaos, and soon they made their next move. Marcus's closest ally on the force, Detective Serena Reed, was gunned down in broad daylight. In her hand, a slip of paper. "Stop digging." Marcus's grief hardened into rage. Desperate, Marcus turned to a rogue hacker known only as Null. Null cracked the purge list, and Marcus's name was at the top. Julia's was second. The safe house went up in flames at 2 a.m. Marcus and Julia barely escaped, running barefoot into the night. Somewhere in the smoke, Marcus saw them. Masked figures watching silently, as if to say, "We let you live this time." Null uncovered a shocking truth. The Order had infiltrated law enforcement. Marcus's own captain was a member. "You can't fight a ghost with a badge," Null warned. But Marcus was done playing by the rules. Marcus reached out to a rival criminal syndicate, promising evidence of the Ophiuchus Order. But alliances in the underworld are written in blood, and betrayal came swiftly. During a press conference, a journalist covering the case was shot on live television. Panic erupted, but the assassin didn't flee. He smiled into the camera and whispered, "Balance restored." Then he turned the gun on himself. The Order targeted Marcus's family next. His son disappeared from school. The ransom was simple: walk away from the investigation or never see his son again. Julia finally confessed. She wasn't just a member. She was once a handler, responsible for dozens of deaths. "I'm not a hero," she told Marcus. "I'm the reason they're after you." With Null's help, Marcus orchestrated a daring rescue. His son was found inside an underground bunker, drugged but alive. But the clock was ticking. The order wouldn't stop. Julia revealed another chilling truth. The order had existed for centuries, evolving from ancient cults into modern conspiracies. They were a hydra. Cut off one head, two more grew in its place. The investigation hit a wall, until Null accessed a secret program called Ghost Protocol. It tracked the Order's financial movements, revealing a hidden mastermind known only as the Architect. Betrayal struck from within. Null disappeared, his apartment ransacked. Footage showed him willingly entering a black car with Order operatives. Trust was unraveling. A timer appeared on Marcus's hacked laptop. 72 hours. Julia paled. It's the reset. They're about to wipe everything clean. Us included. With 72 hours on the clock, Marcus and Julia scrambled to dismantle the Order's operations. But every lead led to a dead end or another corpse. Panic was spreading like wildfire, and Marcus felt the noose tightening. At last, they uncovered surveillance footage of the Architect. The face was familiar: Senator Kenneth Aldridge, a public crusader against corruption. Marcus felt the sting of betrayal. The man funding his department was the monster orchestrating it all. Marcus confronted Aldridge at a charity gala. Under the glittering chandeliers, the senator smiled coolly. "You're out of your depth, detective," he murmured. "And soon you'll be out of time." Marcus learned the devastating truth. Julia once ordered the execution of his mentor, Captain Dwyer, years ago. The weight of her past nearly shattered their fragile alliance. But time was running out to dwell on betrayal. Null reappeared, but not as an ally. He was working for Aldridge all along, feeding Marcus false leads to flush out other threats. "You were just a pawn," Null sneered. "The real game starts now." Dozens of influential people vanished overnight. Activists, journalists, rival politicians. Julia trembled. "The purge has started," she whispered. "This is how they burn history to the ground." Marcus made a desperate gamble. He approached a powerful journalist, Leah Vaughn, and handed her everything. Documents, names, evidence. But Leah warned him, "If we publish this, there's no going back. They will come for all of us." Hours later, Leah vanished. The news station aired a watered-down report, framing the investigation as a conspiracy theory. Julia's face turned pale. "They got to her," she said. "They always get to them." Julia was abducted in broad daylight. A single text came to Marcus's phone. "Trade yourself for her or she dies." For the first time, Marcus felt truly alone and terrified. Marcus walked into the exchange point, an abandoned warehouse on the city's edge. But it wasn't a rescue mission. It was a trap. He was surrounded by masked operatives, Julia bound and gagged before him, and Aldridge watching calmly from a distance. Just as the order prepared to execute them, a shot rang out. Serena Reed, thought dead, stormed in with a rogue FBI team. "You didn't think I'd leave you hanging, did you?" she smirked. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, screams, flames. Marcus dragged Julia from the wreckage as the warehouse exploded behind them. Aldridge escaped, but not without a bullet in his arm, fired by Marcus himself. The war wasn't over, but the battle had turned. Leah Vaughn resurfaced, revealing she'd been in hiding. Together, they released everything to the public: documents, videos, testimonies. The media exploded with the scandal, rocking governments and corporations worldwide. Facing global outrage, Aldridge fled the country. But Marcus received one last message. A video from Aldridge, calmly sipping wine on a yacht. "Cut off one head," he smiled. "Two more shall rise." The world reeled from the revelations. Arrests were made, fortunes collapsed, protests erupted. But Marcus knew the truth. The order wasn't dead. It was wounded, waiting, watching. And somewhere, in the shadows, the next chapter was already beginning. News of the Ophiuchus Order unleashed a worldwide storm. Protests flooded streets from New York to Berlin. But amid the chaos, Marcus noticed something chilling. The Order's true leaders were nowhere to be found. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. Julia, now a global whistleblower, began to crack under the pressure. She confessed to Marcus that a part of her still felt tied to the order. "You can't erase a decade of brainwashing overnight," she whispered, eyes heavy with guilt. Serena revealed she had gone underground during her death to infiltrate a rogue cell of the order. What she discovered was horrifying. They were planning a mass casualty event, one that would make the world beg for the order's return as saviors. Marcus received an encrypted file from a source known only as Monarch. Inside were plans for an attack on 3 major cities, codenamed Project Eclipse. Julia broke down in tears. "That's the final reset," she said. "They're about to burn the board." Null resurfaced, this time as a rogue agent. He wanted to cut a deal. In exchange for immunity, he offered Marcus the location of the true leader behind the architect, a man called the Warden. But Null's price was steep: Julia's life in return. Marcus faced an impossible choice: sacrifice Julia to get to the Warden or lose his only chance to stop Project Eclipse. Torn between vengeance and loyalty, he made a fateful decision: to play Null's game, but on his own terms. In the middle of the operation, Serena was ambushed by Julia. Overcome by old conditioning, Julia switched sides, delivering Serena into the hands of the Order. Marcus was devastated. "She was the last person I trusted," he murmured. On the eve of Project Eclipse, 3 cities, London, Los Angeles, and Tokyo, were paralyzed with fear. Bomb threats, cyber attacks, and assassination plots ran wild. The world teetered on the edge of collapse. At last, Marcus came face to face with the Warden. To his horror, it was a name he knew well: Director Alan Cross, his former boss at the FBI. "I shaped you for this, Marcus," Cross smiled coldly. "You were always meant to lead after me." In the final moments, Julia broke free of the Order's grip. She sabotaged the bombs, risking her life to save millions. Bleeding and barely conscious, she whispered to Marcus, "Tell them I wasn't a monster." Marcus chased Cross through the underbelly of the city. Fists, bullets, blood. On a rain-soaked rooftop, Cross offered Marcus a place at the helm of the new order. But Marcus pulled the trigger, ending the legacy with a single shot. The bombs were defused, the order exposed, the leaders dead or arrested. But victory came at a heavy cost. Julia in a coma, Serena permanently scarred, Marcus haunted by the lives lost. "There's no clean ending in this," he muttered. As Marcus stood over Julia's hospital bed, he received one final message. A distorted voice whispered, "We were never the only ones." Somewhere, another order was rising, ready to fill the void left behind. The media painted Marcus as a hero. Streets were renamed, medals handed out, tributes aired. But behind the applause, governments scrambled to rebuild the power vacuum, and some began reaching for the tools the order had left behind. In a dimly lit room, a figure watched Marcus on a surveillance screen. Files lay open on the desk: new targets, new missions, new wars. The Ophiuchus order was dead, but the world it created was just beginning. Marcus received a cryptic envelope on his doorstep. Inside was a single sentence written in shaky handwriting: "You didn't kill the head, you cut off the hand." His blood turned cold. Somewhere, the order was regenerating. After weeks in a coma, Julia opened her eyes. But the woman staring back at Marcus was changed, haunted, distant. "They're still inside me," she whispered, trembling. "I can feel them pulling the strings." Serena, once steady and fierce, spiraled into obsession. She began investigating splinter cells without backup, chasing ghosts across Europe. Marcus feared she was becoming what they had fought against: a lone wolf fueled by vengeance. Intelligence chatter confirmed it. A new faction, calling itself the Vesper Syndicate, was filling the Ophiuchus power vacuum. Their motto, "Out of shadow we rise." Marcus knew the nightmare wasn't over. It had only evolved. Marcus was called into a covert meeting with world leaders. They wanted him to lead Ghost Protocol, a Black Ops team to hunt and destroy Vesper before it reached critical mass. But Marcus hesitated. "I've already lost too much," he said quietly. Julia admitted she knew the true leader of Vesper, the seer, a figure only whispered about in Ophiuchus' inner circle. And worse, the seer was someone Julia once loved. "You'll have to kill him," she told Marcus, voice shaking. "I won't be able to." Marcus, Julia, and Serena launched an unsanctioned mission into Morocco, following a blood trail of assassinations and arms deals. Each clue pulled them deeper into a labyrinth of corruption, where enemies wore familiar faces. Serena betrayed them. Driven by her thirst for justice, she leaked their location to Vesper, hoping to lure the seer into the open. But it backfired. Marcus and Julia were captured, bound, and flown to an undisclosed location. The seer stepped into the light. Julia's knees buckled. It was Gabriel Cade, the lover she believed dead, long buried in the Ophiuchus purge. "Did you really think I wouldn't survive?" Gabriel whispered. "I became the storm you feared." Julia was forced to choose: return to Gabriel's side or help Marcus dismantle everything they'd built. Tearfully, she cut Gabriel's cheek with a hidden blade. "You died the day you chose the order," she said, voice breaking. Serena stormed the compound alone, unleashing chaos. Explosions ripped through the base as she cut Marcus and Julia free. "I told you, I don't leave people behind," she gasped, bullets tearing past her shoulder. On a crumbling rooftop, Gabriel faced Julia. Rain lashed their faces as they fought, knife against knife, heartbreak against fury. In the final blow, Julia plunged the blade home, sobbing as Gabriel collapsed in her arms. Interpol swept in, arresting Vesper operatives worldwide. The syndicate fell like dominoes, their accounts frozen, their leaders exposed. But Marcus knew, power never truly dies. It mutates, infects, waits. Marcus, Julia, and Serena met on a quiet beach, the war seemingly over. For a brief moment there was peace. "We burned down an empire," Marcus whispered, "but I wonder what rises from the ashes." In a distant underground lab, a masked figure watched footage of Marcus and his team. A faint smile played across his lips. "Now," the figure murmured, "the real game begins." A new chapter was stirring, and this time, the enemy was unlike anything they'd faced before. The masked figure was revealed as Victor Strain, a rogue intelligence officer who once worked with Ophiuchus. Strain wasn't rebuilding the order, he was engineering something new. Directive 9, a program to weaponize chaos itself. Marcus received a USB drive, postmarked from someone long dead, Alan Cross, the former warden. On it was a chilling message: "Strain knows your weakness, and he will bleed you dry before you ever reach him." Serena was ambushed in Prague. She barely escaped, but her right arm was shattered, her spirit shaken. For the first time, the warrior was forced to retreat, and Marcus saw the weight of their war crushing them all. Julia's nightmares worsened. She confessed to Marcus that sometimes she heard Gabriel's voice guiding her in the dark. "What if the order never really left me?" she asked, tears streaking her face. Marcus feared he was losing her to ghosts. Marcus reached out to his old enemy, Null, now locked away in a secret prison. Null offered intel on Directive 9, but in exchange demanded one thing: his freedom. "The only way to kill a shadow," Null hissed, "is to use another shadow." Directive 9 unleashed its first strike. A coordinated cyber attack that blacked out New York, Tokyo, and Paris in seconds. Hospitals collapsed, planes fell from the sky, and chaos reigned. Marcus realized they were running out of time. To stop Strain, the team had to break into the Helix Vault, a top-secret data center buried beneath the Swiss Alps. Every second inside was a dance between death and discovery as they raced to uncover Directive 9's master code. Cornered in the vault, Serena stayed behind to hold off Strain's mercenaries. "Get out!" she screamed over gunfire. "This ends with you, not me." As the doors sealed, Marcus saw the last glimpse of the woman who had saved him more times than he could count. Julia cracked the master code, but at a cost. The virus was linked to her old brainwashing triggers. She collapsed, convulsing as hidden programming surged back. Marcus clutched her, whispering, "Fight, Jules. Come back to me." Armed with the code, Marcus infiltrated Strain's Arctic fortress. Every hallway was a trap, every face a mask. As he drew closer, he realized Strain hadn't built Directive 9 to rule the world. He built it to burn it down. Null reappeared, free, unpredictable, and deadly. But instead of betrayal, he offered Marcus the kill shot on Strain. No empire, Null smirked. Just ash. For the first time, Marcus saw that even monsters had limits. In the control room, Strain revealed his endgame. He had wired Directive 9 into autonomous AI systems controlling the world's financial markets, defense grids, and power lines. If I die, the world dies with me, he sneered. Marcus faced a brutal choice. Take Strain's life and risk global collapse, or walk away and let the cancer spread. Julia, staggering into the room, whispered, "End this." Marcus pulled the trigger, gambling that the code would hold. The fortress burned. The virus froze mid-deployment. But the cost was devastating. Serena's fate unknown. Null vanished, Julia scarred but alive. As dawn broke, Marcus stared into the horizon, wondering if peace was ever truly possible. Back home, Marcus found one last message in his inbox. A simple line of text. "Thank you for cleaning the board. My turn." Attached was a symbol, the snake eating its tail. Somewhere, another game was beginning. In a remote monastery in Nepal, an encrypted transmission crackled to life. Serena, once presumed dead, opened her eyes amid frost-covered ruins. A monk handed her a note. "You are not done." Serena clenched her fists. The world believed her gone. She intended to use that. Marcus uncovered the meaning of the symbol from the last message. The Ouroboros Network, a clandestine group even older than Ophiuchus, hidden in the shadows for centuries. Its mission: reset civilization every 100 years through orchestrated collapse. Julia's recovery was slow, but her mind wasn't healing as expected. She began drawing symbols in her sleep, speaking in languages she didn't know. Marcus feared something was embedded deep inside her psyche, a remnant of Gabriel, or worse, a key to Ouroboros. Desperate, Marcus sought out Arya Quinn, a legendary cryptanalyst who once vanished after breaking an unbreakable code. Found living off-grid in Iceland, Arya agreed to help, but warned Marcus, "Every key has a cost. Are you willing to pay yours?" Serena began dismantling Ouroboros cells across Asia, one brutal strike at a time. But she left no trace, no fingerprints, no survivors. To Marcus, she was a ghost. To Ouroboros, she was a reckoning they hadn't calculated for. During a covert op in Istanbul, Marcus discovered a horrifying betrayal. One of his closest allies, Eli Navarro, had been feeding intel to Ouroboros for years. Eli's reasoning chilled Marcus. Collapse is evolution, survival of the fittest. In a tense confrontation on the Bosphorus Bridge, Marcus faced Eli under moonlight. They fought like brothers torn apart, until Eli whispered, "You're just like us, Marcus," and let himself fall into the black water below. His body was never recovered. Julia's condition escalated, but then clarity broke through. She confessed that a hidden command had been implanted in her by Gabriel, designed to activate Ouroboros' global failsafe. She was the ticking bomb, and time was running out. Arya guided them to the Vault of Eyes, a hidden data nexus under Vatican City holding centuries of secret society archives. Inside, they found a chilling prophecy. A name circled in blood-red ink, Marcus Ryland. He was always meant to be at the center of this collapse. Marcus and Julia were ambushed in Rome, and in their darkest hour, Serena emerged from the smoke, ruthless and unstoppable. The reunion was raw, emotional, and fractured. "We end this," Serena vowed, her voice cold steel, "or we don't walk away." The final confrontation loomed. A clandestine summit in Zurich where world elites plotted the collapse. Disguised and wired with explosives, Marcus, Julia, and Serena infiltrated the gathering. Every heartbeat was a countdown to chaos. Inside the summit, Julia froze. The activation phrase surged in her mind. She turned on Marcus, hands trembling, eyes glassy. With Serena's help, Marcus subdued her just seconds before she unleashed the failsafe. Julia collapsed, whispering, "I'm so sorry." Chaos erupted. Explosions tore through the summit. Marcus and Serena fought their way out, dragging Julia through burning hallways. The elites fled into the night, but the heart of Ouroboros was shattered, for now. As dawn broke over Zurich, the survivors sat on the edge of a ruined world. Julia sedated and safe. Serena silent but resolute. Marcus, hollow-eyed, staring at the sunrise. "We stopped the collapse," Serena murmured. "But we didn't kill the serpent." In a hidden chamber beneath the ashes of the summit, a child sat at a desk, watching live feeds of Marcus and his team. Behind the child, a woman in shadows whispered, "The game never ends." The serpent had shed its skin and was already coiling for the next strike. Marcus, Serena, and Arya Quinn discover a final code hidden in the summit ruins. One last Ouroboros directive, embedded centuries ago. Cracking it could expose every global player or detonate a failsafe that destroys the evidence and buries the truth forever. The cipher leads them to 5 covert Ouroboros sanctuaries across the world. Serena, burned out but fierce, volunteers to go after 3. Marcus and Julia will handle the 2 most dangerous together, despite Julia's fragile recovery. Arya works from a bunker in Berlin, running point, but a mysterious figure begins contacting her. A child prodigy known only as Calix, the same child seen at the summit's end. Arya realizes, this child is the architect of Ouroboros' rebirth. In the catacombs of Marrakesh, Serena faces an Ouroboros strike team alone. Outnumbered, wounded, and cornered, she unleashes a ruthless counterattack. But when the dust settles, she spares the last agent, a trembling young recruit, realizing not all are beyond saving. In Buenos Aires, Julia and Marcus infiltrate a sanctuary disguised as an orphanage. Julia confronts her past, the brainwashing, the programming, the scars, and resists a new activation attempt. For the first time, she overpowers the control instead of surrendering to it. Arya finally makes contact with Calix. To her horror, she realizes the child isn't just brilliant, he was bred by Ouroboros to lead. But Arya also sees the cracks. Calix craves connection, validation, and doubts his own handlers. Serena storms the final sanctuary in Seoul but walks into a trap. Tied, bleeding, she confronts the Ouroboros matriarch, the shadowy woman from the summit. "You're not a soldier," the matriarch hisses. "You're a weapon, and weapons break." Marcus admits to Julia that years ago he was offered a seat at Ouroboros and turned it down. He's been hunted ever since, but a part of him always feared they were right. Maybe he was always meant for their war. Arya convinces Calix to turn. The child offers her the master access codes, the kill switch for the entire network. But the price is unthinkable. Calix must fake his own death and disappear forever, abandoning the only life he's known. With the matriarch looming over her, Serena triggers a hidden blade, slashes her bonds, and takes down the sanctuary. She sends one final message to Marcus, "See you on the other side." Then she vanishes into the flames, fate uncertain. Marcus and Julia breach the final Ouroboros server farm in Alaska. The data towers pulse with the heartbeat of global corruption. As they plant the virus Arya designed, they face one last wave of defenders, old enemies, brainwashed agents, ghosts of the past. The matriarch arrives in Alaska, confronting Marcus face to face. She offers him the deal of a lifetime. Join her, reshape the world, and walk away as king, or burn it all down. Marcus's answer is quiet, final. "You've already lost. The virus won't deploy remotely. Someone must stay behind to ensure the system's collapse." Marcus volunteers, but Julia knocks him out cold and locks him out. Through a tearful farewell on comms, Julia presses the button, bringing the Ouroboros empire crashing down. As the server farm explodes, Serena, miraculously alive, pulls Marcus from the snow. Julia's last words echo in his ear. "Finish this, Marcus. For all of us." The 2 survivors watch the facility burn, knowing the war is nearly over. Calix disappears into a new identity, aided by Arya. For the first time, he tastes freedom, but also the crushing weight of conscience. In a private message, he thanks Arya and disappears into the ether, a child trying to undo the sins of his makers. Arya, Marcus, and Serena leak the Ouroboros archives to the world. Names, dates, crimes, cover-ups. Governments reel, corporations collapse, and ordinary people awaken to the rot in their systems. The serpent's head is severed for all to see. Protests erupt worldwide. Former Ouroboros leaders are hunted, tried, and imprisoned. The matriarch disappears, her empire shattered. But amid the chaos, Marcus wonders, can humanity handle the truth, or will they seek a new master? Marcus visits Julia's grave, a quiet moment in a storm-torn world. Serena joins him, silent. They leave a small token, the Ouroboros ring, cracked in two, resting on her stone. She won, Marcus murmurs. She beat them all. Across the globe, tribunals begin. Arya testifies, Serena hunts stragglers, and Marcus faces his past on live broadcasts. Justice, messy and imperfect, surges forward. The world may never heal completely, but the reckoning has begun. On a quiet beach, Marcus, Serena, and Arya gather one last time. No wars to fight, no codes to break. As the sun rises, Marcus turns to them and says softly, "It's over. The serpent is dead." For the first time in years, the world breathes free. Stay tuned for more chilling cases on Cold Case Chronicles, where the truth is always darker than fiction. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to Cold Case Chronicles. We dive deeper into the most chilling, unsolved mysteries, and together, we uncover what was left behind. Like, share, and leave a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts. Stay vigilant. Stay curious. The truth never rests.